What if I told you you could walk into any thrift store and find $100, $200, even more in less than 30 minutes? And no, this is not about getting lucky. It's not about finding some rare designer brands. Because here's the truth. Thrift stores have gotten expensive. So if you don't know what to look for, you're gonna walk right past the items that actually make money. But when you do know what to look for, you start seeing opportunities on almost every rack. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to walk into any thrift store and find clothes that you can flip online for consistent profit, even if you're starting from scratch. Well, welcome to the channel. My name is LeeMeier. I'm a mom of 4 and I've made over 100,000 selling used clothing in my spare time. And everything I'm sharing with you comes from sourcing and selling thousands of items over the years. Now, before we dive into specific sections of the thrift store, you have to understand this. The key to making money in any thrift store is staying one step ahead of the store. You have to know more than they know, because thrift stores will always price based on what they recognize. And that's usually brands. But buyers, they're searching for other things. They're searching for things like style. They're searching for fit and function and the details on items. And those are things that the thrift stores don't always price for. And that's a gap between what they know and what you know. And that's really where the profit is. The more that you can understand what buyers are actually looking for, the more money you're able to make every time you walk into the thrift store. Now let's start with the shoe section, because this is where you can make some serious profit. Now, depending on your thrift store, shoes might be all together, or they might be split into men's, women's, and kids sections. This means you might have 3 different sections to check out. But here's what most people miss. It's not about just the obvious brands like Nike. There's tons and tons of lesser known brands that might have a massive following, especially with social media driving demand these days. And thrift store workers either don't recognize these brands or they don't have time to research them. There's just so much that's donated every single day, and that's your opportunity. So let me give you an example of this. I found a pair of shoes from a brand I had never heard of after sourcing thousands of items, but I could tell immediately from the construction that they were leather, high quality materials. They had comfort features like arch support. And the other dead giveaway, it was where it was made. I paid about $5 for these shoes, and they're selling on eBay for around $50 to $60 pretty consistently. And that's the kind of return that makes this whole thing worthwhile. And this brings me to 2 universal tips, and these apply to every section in the thrift store. Number 1, look at the construction and materials. Quality will always stand out when you know what to look for, and buyers pay for that quality. Second, always check where items are made. Certain countries, they're known for higher quality manufacturing, a lot of the European countries, as well as some Southern American countries. Now the next section, and this is a section that most people skip, and this is bras. Now this should only take you a few minutes. There's usually not a lot here, but there can be money hidden in this section. And here's the pattern. Thrift stores will always mark up the brands that they recognize, like Victoria's Secret. A Victoria's Secret bra might be $12.99, leaving you no room for profit. But there's lots of other brands that are actually more valuable than Victoria's Secret. So brands like Third Love, Waycole, NYX, Goddess, and Fantasy, those aren't household names, so they don't get marked up, but those can be more valuable, especially if they're bigger sizes. And here's a quick visual cue that can save time with some of these more premium brands. They're gonna have a tag on the side wing of the bra versus on the back where the clasp is. And you can spot items quickly this way without having to read the brand name. Now, the one exception to this with Victoria's Secret is if you come across discontinued bras. These can sell for quite a lot. This is one that I picked up for just a couple of bucks and turned around and sold it almost immediately, I think the same day that I listed it for $70. Now, the scrub section is another gold mine, especially when you can come across themed scrub tops, holiday themed, Disney themed, anything with veterinarian or pediatrics, something that really lets the person express their personality. This is also a place where those bigger sizes do really well. And insider secret, men's scrubs, they're a rare find, but they're actually in high demand. I even sold a handmade NASCAR themed scrub top, not even in the best of condition, for about 20, 25 bucks, no brand name required. Now here's something that most resellers miss. Plus size items will almost always sell for more than regular sizes. But thrift stores don't price bigger sizes higher. And for you, what that means is free profit margin. Look for brands like Maggie Barnes, Torrid, and Catherine's, especially if they're in a current style. So I always like to head to the biggest plus sizes first. And this particular trip, I was able to find several tags that were discounted, actually $1.99 items that are pretty good. And you can get away with plus sizes with going for lesser value brands, but because of the size, they usually sell for more. Now the kids sections, I usually don't spend a lot of time in because there's usually lower profits with those. The one area that I always check out is shoes. Now you're not gonna find kids shoes on every single trip, but it's at least worth looking. And some of the favorites that I like to find are Keen water shoes, as well as Georgia boots, and then native slip-on shoes. If you do have time to browse through the kids' racks, look for higher ticket items like jackets, coats, and snow pants. Another thing that is hugely profitable in the kids section are vintage items, especially from the 90s, and things like Disney can even sell for into the hundreds of dollars, which is crazy. Thrift stores have most of these items marked for just a couple of bucks. Think Arthur, Clifford, Mater from Cars. Hey, real quick, if you want to make consistent sales without this taking over your life, your time, your house, that's exactly what I built the Empowered Reseller membership around. Because this is not about hustling harder. It's about getting better at what actually sells. Inside of my membership, each month we deep dive into a proven clothing niche so that you can focus on the right items, the ones that move. That's how you build steady income without burnout. And you don't have to figure this out alone. You get a clear path, help when you need it, and a really supportive community to do this alongside with. If that sounds like something you'd like, then just click the first link in the description below this video, or you can go to empoweredreseller.com. Now the men's outerwear section has to be one of my favorite to hit up. You're gonna wanna skip past the obvious things like Carhartt because those are usually overpriced, and instead look for LL Bean, Orvis, and Woolrich, and pay attention to store promotions. Those color-coded tags with 50% off or $1.99, that can turn a good deal into a great one. Another men's section that I like to check out is the athletic wear section. It's usually a small section, quick to get through. And what you're gonna wanna look for is specific performance lines. Yes, Nike's gonna be marked up, but certain Nike lines actually do have profit potential, or a bigger profit potential, like Nike Pro Combat and Nike Running. Those will sell for premium prices online, so it can pay to pay up. Now, the men's shirts and jeans section will usually have a little bit lower profit margin because brands like American Eagle and Levi's get marked up. But here's an insider tip. Items will get mistagged all of the time. So women's items will end up in the men's section and vice versa. They're sitting there and they don't sell, and they'll get marked down to clearance prices. And I see this on every single thrift store trip. Another section where a lot of profit could be hiding is in the accessories. Now I love accessories because they're small and they usually have a bigger profit margin. We're talking things like wallets and purses, bags, hats, and men's ties. And some of these, they're gonna be scattered throughout the store usually. And look on end caps. Things like neckties will often get put on end caps. Now with accessories, the quality will almost always matter more than the brand. For example, if you come across an unbranded leather belt that's well made, that could flip online for 40 to 50 bucks. Same goes with bags. So focus on the quality and the materials and the construction over just the brand name. Now for hats and ties, look for anything unique that really stands out. Now let's talk about vintage pieces because these usually apply to every section. Vintage pieces, they're gonna stand out. They're gonna look different, be different colors, have different patterns, different textures than modern items. And they're usually pretty easy to spot once you train your eye. For this particular dress, I'll probably hold off on for a little while and hope that I can catch it once it discounts. It looks like this brand and this style of dress is selling for around 40 bucks, but I find vintage all of the time, and you're gonna wanna overlap with some of those other categories like boots. For example, this pair of boots that sold for 100 bucks basically just because of the style. And back to that men's outerwear section and those LL Bean coats that I mentioned, I come across these all of the time, and these make very solid sellers. Even not in good condition, these can make an easy 30-buck flip. Here's something that even experienced resellers miss. It's not always about the brand. Items sell based on style and the aesthetic or the look of the item. There's entire subcultures that are buying specific looks. Whimsy goth, rockabilly, cottagecore, beachy, prairie, those types of aesthetics. Some of those items are selling for 100, 150 bucks regardless of the brand. Sometimes the tag's even cut out, but it doesn't even matter. This is a beautiful velvet dress I found with lace trim, sold it for 40 bucks on eBay. This is over on Poshmark, and I could show you example after example like this of items selling because of their look. If this is a cottagecore corset top, went for 55 bucks. This one is a crane embroidered coat. It's actually unbranded. It was listed as Anthropology, which is wrong. It's an unbranded item, went for $255. And this beautiful sequin dress, also unbranded, it went for $100 on Poshmark. And even if it doesn't fall within a particular type of style, if it's unique, this is a super unique jellyfish outfit, the top and the pants, and this went for 125 bucks. Now clothes are the main thing that I sell, but I also like to hit up some of the other soft goods and textiles, things like tablecloths and blankets and throws. Those can actually be pretty valuable. I was walking through pretty quickly, spotted a crate and barrel throw, picked it up on a 50% discount because a lot of people aren't shopping these sections. I paid $2 and it should sell for about $25 to $30 online. And these are the sections that most people just entirely skip. Now, one word on timing your thrift store visits. Thrift stores, they're gonna get new items every single day. And your job is to learn when they put items out. One of my favorite times to visit is in the evening just because there's less people there, but first thing in the morning is another prime time. And that can be a time when thrift stores, they're bringing out the new racks before they're fully organized. And that's your chance to shop through and pick through, get the best items before those items are put in their correct sections in the store and other shoppers have the chance to go through them. Another tip for making more money every time you walk into a thrift store is not to ignore the higher profit items. Oftentimes these items have already been recognized as valuable and they're put in a glass case or behind the counter, but it can be worth it to pay up to make a bigger dollar amount. And this is where a lot of resellers get stuck because they won't spend $5, $10, $20 on something that can make them $100. Focus on the actual dollar profit, not just the percentage returns. If you turn $20 into $100, that's only 5 times your money, but you're making 80 bucks profit. And always be aware of what's going on when it comes to store promotions and sales. Many thrift stores, they're gonna have the color-coded tags with markdowns, and those markdowns can turn a so-so deal into a solid home run. Learn your store's discount system and sign up for any promotions they have like rewards or coupons. Some even give coupons when you donate. Remember, think dollar amounts, not percentages, and focus on construction and quality. Check what country items are made in and look for lesser known brands. Pay attention to the style of items and don't skip the sections that other people ignore. The key to consistent profits is not luck. It's having knowledge and a system, and now you have both. So the next time you walk into a thrift store, you'll know exactly where to go and exactly what to look for. Start with these sections, develop your eye for quality and construction, and have fun turning clothes into profit. And if you want help making consistent profit doing this, make sure that you check out the Empowered Reseller linked below. Now stick around because in this next video, I've got 50 of the best thrift store clothing items to be selling right now. Just click or tap the screen and I'll see you there.